All right, everyone, welcome back. Here we are inside of the Godot engine. And if you want to follow along, just find wherever you saved it and double click it, and it should open it up. And you should be looking at the same thing I have. So we're going to start with a new project. We're going to call it Tut1. You can name it whatever you want. I'm going to browse and save it to a spot where I can collect all of these Godot tutorials. So I'm going to create a new folder, called it Godot Tuts, which I will save all of these in. And I'm going to click Select Current Folder. That means we're going to save the new game into Godot Tuts. We're going to call it Tut1, and we're going to click on Mobile. So there's three choices. There's forward plus, mobile, and compatibility. Forward plus is going to be your heavy 3D graphics game, which we're not doing. So if you were making a really nice 3D graphics game, you would click forward plus. Compatibility is for lower end devices. If you're trying to target, I don't know, Windows 8 or something, maybe a mobile phone, something that's not a normal PC or a normal mobile device. So we're going to go with mobile right in the middle. It does support more than just mobile platforms. It supports desktops with basically your less advanced 3D graphics and so on. So middle of the road, that's for us. Create and edit. And it's going to open up the workspace scene. It starts you off in 3D. We're not going to do 3D. So at the top here, you can see we can look at a 2D, 3D, script, and then some assets that are downloadable. So we're going to spend our time between 2D and script. Let's go ahead and choose 2D. Now, if you wanted to at any time, I believe, you can switch to forward plus or compatibility, but we're sticking with mobile. There's two major things you need to learn about in Godot. One is a scene, and two is a node. So scenes are reusable, and they can be a weapon, a menu, a user interface, maybe an entire level, anything you can think of, a character. And a scene can be within a scene, okay? And within this workspace here, you can see this. Hopefully you can see this little purple square. If you can't see it on my screen, you'll be able to see it on your screen. And this is where the game plays. This is everything in here is the window, the game window. So that's scenes. And scenes contain nodes. And nodes are basically the smallest building blocks of the Godot engine. And nodes are simple things that make up the characters and weapons and menus that go in a scene. So nodes are things like a 2D sprite, that would be the player, represent the player, the camera, a character body, collision shapes, those kind of things. You think of the smallest things that you can that's going to make up the images and objects that are going to be going on in the game. So let's go ahead and start with making a new scene. Click 2D scene, and it's always going to have a root node of node 2D. We're going to learn everything in the Godot engine is made up of parent nodes and children nodes. So we'll look at that further, but just remember there's going to be a parent, and then there's going to be a child, and the child is always linked to the parent. I'm going to rename this by just clicking on it. I'm going to call it my level, and then I'm going to save by clicking Control S, and I'm going to save that. And I'm going to call it level. So let's just click save. We'll get more organized later. Right now, we're learning the basics. We're just feeling out what's going on here and clicking around and getting familiar with things. So you can see up here we have a level. And inside this level, we're going to put a, click on the plus sign, a 2D sprite. So let's just click sprite, type sprite. Let's just type sprite. Here you go. Click, double click on that. And that's going to give us a child of this level scene. Okay. So here's your node. This is considered a node, and let's just call this logo. And over here is the properties for each node that you click on. And what we want to do with this node is everyone over here on the file side, everyone should have this icon SVG. If you click on it, drag it over to this texture, that's going to drop it in the scene. Okay. Now you can move this around, and if we click play, it's going to ask you to select a main scene, which you can select, or you can just use the only one we have, the main one here. So select current, and you're actually going to be playing the game. There is your pretty boring game, right? But you can see the node, the icon, the logo that we just put in the game. Now, if we wanted to make another one that is the child of this, say this is your player character, and the player character has a laser gun, you would highlight the node that you want to be parent, and you come up and you click the plus button again. You'll add another 2D sprite, and let's just pretend that this is a laser gun now. We're going to go back over texture and drag and drop, and now we have two. So we'll put the second one here. So now we can move this one individually, or we can move both of them at the same time by going to the parent. So you see what that is. So this is the child and can move separately. This is the parent. Anything that is underneath this tree that is associated with it will move together. It's all one object, right? So we can close that up and one object, that's it. Okay, so let's go ahead, let's delete this for now, and what we're going to do is click the plus button up here. We're going to add a new scene, okay, and I'm going to show you how a scene can be part of a scene. So we make a new scene, we come over here. Remember, we have to have a root node, 2D scene every time. Double click it, and we're going to call this the player character. Let's just call it player. And in naming conventions in Godot Engine, everything that's over here in your nodes are going to be capitalized, and then everything else in the game is going to be snake case. It's going to start with a lowercase letter, and then every new word is going to have a capital. It's going to be capitalized. So, okay, so we're going to make the player, and we're going to click the plus button. We're going to put a 2D sprite in here. We're just going to do the same thing. We're going to grab the icon, we're going to drag it over to the texture, and then let's just say we're going to have another one, right? Pretend this is a car or a bike maybe, and it has a turret on it. I don't know. So what we could do is we could say this is the player image, and we could pretend that this is the laser image, right? Okay. Another thing I want to show you is over here in the properties, right? Transform. So if you see, everything is X and Y position. X is in the top left corner. This is 0, 0. So if we take this and do 0, 0, this is what we wind up with. Okay, 0, 0. So let's move X and see what happens. Let's do 50. Okay, so 50 goes to the right of the screen. Say 500. So this here is your X, and this here is your Y. And so to go right, you're going to go positive, and to go down, you're going to go positive. So let's say we want to go right here in the middle somewhere. Let's do another 500. And, well, maybe that's not the middle, but it doesn't really matter. There we go, somewhere in the middle. So X and Y coordinates, you can change them over here. You can rotate the sprite. You can scale it, skew it, go back to 0. So just play around with this stuff and get familiar with everything. That's all I've been doing. I'm by no means an expert. I don't know everything yet, but you know, here we go. We're learning. So what I want to do is let's set this back to 0, 0, okay, and click Control Save, and let's name this the player. So now the player is at 0, 0, and I want to add this to my level. If we go back to my level, there's nothing in the level, but we want to add the player to the level. So to add the player to the level, you're going to click on the scene that you want to add the player to. We only have one, so we're going to grab it, and then we're going to click this button up here, Instantiate Child Scene. So click that. It'll show you all of your different scenes. We're going to click Player. That's the one we want to add. Click Open, and boom, there you go. So now this is a scene within a scene. So you could have a player, you could have your ghosts, goblins, cars, whatever. You're going to make separate scenes, and it's basically for organizing. It'll help you keep track. You might have a player, and you might have the player and a gun, some grenades, you know, who knows? But it's easier to keep track of these things by controlling each one with a scene and then adding them into your main level. And each player, so if we go to player, we can go to script, and we can add a new script by coming here. Okay, so you want to be on player over here. You want to be on script, and you want to come up here to attach a new or existing script. We're going to stick with GDScript, and we're just going to click create. All right. So now this player, we can click play. Let's go back to the level. Let's save everything. Control S on both of these. Control S. So in the level, if we click play, we should see at 0, 0 of the screen that little player guy. Let's make this guy move with scripts, okay? So remember, level, script, and you can click this to make the new script. You're going to get 2 functions, okay? And I don't know, I'm not going to go through explaining the programming unless everybody wants me to. I'm hoping that people understand what functions and variables and everything are. If I need to break that out into a separate video or separate series or different videos, I can do that for everybody. So let me know in the comments how granular you want these things. I don't like learning slow. I hate the boring nitty-gritty. I want to know what I want to know to get things on the screen and working. So that's kind of what I'm going for here. A function is basically just a block of code that's repeatable, and you can call it at any time. There's one for a process, and the process is called every frame. The ready is when the scene starts up and this node enters the tree, enters to the scene. That's the ready. So as soon as that happens, whatever you have in here will happen, okay? So let's just do a real easy example here. And let's just type in position. Okay. And we'll say equals vector 2. So now vector is another method that just allows you to give 2 coordinates. Remember, we have an X and we have a Y. So we want to move this. We want to set the position as soon as the game starts and this node is ready. We want to set the position to a new position. So we're going to do 200, comma, 200. So the player's at 0, 0. When the game starts, it's going to go 200 and 200. And that's where we will see the player. Let's go back and see if we've got everything saved right. Okay, let's see if this works. Boom. So instead of here, you're over 200, you're down 200. All right? Where I got position from was when you click on the player node and you come over here, and let's go in here to the player. When you come over here, you can see transform, where we were playing around with this before, and it says position. Okay, that's the position. If you hover over it, it'll show you a property position. That's giving you a hint if you want to access this from your script, from your code. That's what you access, is the position. We can access rotation if we wanted to. We can access scale, skew, whatever, but that's over here. So it's easy. If you want to come over here and rotate this now. Let's see, rotation. I've never actually done rotation, so I don't know what it calls for. Rotate, okay, so it is a floating number. You just need one number. It's going to be a decimal point number. It floats. Floating point numbers are decimals. Integers are whole numbers. So let's see if we can just do 0.5. Let's see what that does. Let's click play. It's probably not going to do anything. Oh, it did work. Okay, cool. So we just rotated at 0.5 degrees. Now, so the other thing I want to show you is that's ready, okay? But now we can also do process, and what happens in here is every single frame, whatever you put in here, will happen. So if we say position equals, actually let's do plus equals, and plus equals is the same thing as saying position equals position plus whatever, but it's just easier to type in plus equals. So position plus equals a vector 2, and let's just say 1, comma 1. So it's basically going to go every frame rate in the screen is gonna move itself 1 pixel. Okay, so let's see what happens. There you go. So it's coming over 1 and down 1, which gives you a diagonal line. Every screen refresh, or every frame of the game, it's saying to itself position equals plus equals 1, y1 and x1. All right. I think that's probably going to be it for this one. I don't want to make these videos too long. Just remember, play around a little bit, and we're going to be in the 2D screen. Make a player, put them in, attach them using this instant child. Bring the player in, and then your script button is here. So when you get to the player and you want to make the player move, remember you want to be on the player here. Click your script right here, which will open this, and then you need to come over here and open this up. So play around. Give me any questions in the comments. Hopefully I'm making sense. Give me some feedback if I need to slow down. This is a new series, so I'm kind of leaving it up to you guys to help me get better at this. I know I've done some videos in the past, but they were kind of very specific things within the core gaming engine that I wanted to learn, and I thought I would show somebody else. This is going to be a different format where we're learning together from the beginning, and I want to make sure that you guys understand it all. So let me know what you think and give me some feedback, and we'll keep going. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you in the next one.